landscape.
Electoral processes are conducted in a free, fair and transparent manner.
Electoral commission we have is weak. They definitely were not in charge.
Political parties are now in overdrive, drafting election strategies. While some have clear roadmaps, others struggle to gain traction. However, the ultimate objective remains the same: securing victory. What is to be a fiercely This is the Frontline. Frontline.
Well, it's the Frontline. A very good evening and welcome. My name is Simon Kabwanja, and well, you all understand 2026, and much of the spotlight has been on whether it will be business as usual or it's likely to be an election like no other. The dynamics seem to be changing. There's been an apparent shift in the stance of the opposition leadership. The main opposition currently, the National Unity Platform, had, through their party principle, indicated in the aftermath of the 2021 elections that elections were worthless. Having gone through that very turbulent election, that very contested election, the president of the National Unity Platform, Robert Kyagulanyi, came out and said it would be foolhardy to woo voters into the 2026 election. Now, he made a U-turn. He said he's going into 2026 election on a protest vote. It's one of the things that we want to interrogate tonight. Will the protest vote change or influence the trajectory of elections in the country come 2026? And how will it be like? That and more of such questions will be posed during the show. Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda, he's a panelist, he's a frontliner. Thank you for joining us and a very good evening.
You're welcome, Simon. Good evening to
Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, Chairperson, National Women's League. Thank you for joining us and a very good evening.
Thank you for hosting me and for the invitation. Good evening to our listeners and the viewers, and I'm happy to be back to the Frontline.
Well, the celebrated frontliner. Lately you've been punching below the belt. Good to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunger.
No, Njala.
Njala is hunger.
Okay, good. Well, we're also joined by the Deputy President of the National Unity Platform, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, Member of Parliament, Butambala County. Good to have you and a very good evening.
Good to be here and to our viewers.
Plus, the man with his own diction, Honorable Fred Mukasa Mbide, joins us, but he will be greeting us in a few. I'll start with you, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi. What is this protest vote that you're peddling as National Unity Platform?
It is what it is.
What is a protest vote?
We all know that we don't have a level playing political field. For the last 4 years, the NRM government, led by General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, deliberately has worked so hard to ensure that political parties do not deepen and strengthen their reach in the countryside. It has been very hard for any political formation in Uganda opposed to government to reach the grassroots. The last 4 years we've witnessed massive arrests, massive imprisonment. Every political player of some sort is on a court bail or is on a court bond. And I don't think there's anyone here who is not. Sometimes the system even forgets that someone is on a bond and they just let you be. So I don't know, Honorable Semujo is, I think he's on a police bond.
One more, no. Uganda Road.
You have one more
Yes,
court. So
one was dismissed by court.
yes.
We have another one pending.
Yes. Every key player in this country of some sort, even every journalist, is either nursing an injury or a broken body part or a warning. Every media house is grossly intimidated. So all organs of the state, especially the coercive organs of the state, have taken a political stance and they've chosen to take sides. Therefore, that sets the tone of the election. So you are not going to behave normally in an abnormal situation. If you do so, those who know English very well say you are abnormal yourself. If you behave normally in an abnormal situation, you are abnormal yourself. So it's on that background, and then you have a choice. If the ground is so uneven, why would you participate in an election to legitimize a regime? And others will say, give up, surrender, be indifferent, be cynical. But that's what the regime wants. So for us, every election is an opportunity to extend the frontier, to make one more case that you are not having a democracy, is that you are living in a dictatorship. Yes, you can make it inevitable and overwhelm a system. And it is possible, because I don't think NRM government today enjoys the popular support in the country. If they did, they wouldn't be using coercion. They wouldn't be deploying the military. So for me, that behavior is a victory on our side and an admission on the part of NRM that psychologically they are convinced. They are no longer enjoying the love of the people. They are no longer loved. They know they are hated, and they should have gone yesterday. But if
okay, do you want to suggest it was not strategic of your principal to announce in 2021 that it's worthless to participate into another
I need to get to the quote you are quoting. You need to put him there, and I see the quote you are. Those are your words.
He did.
No. You have a history. You put the statement there.
I will.
Yeah, you will. So, but of course, a wise man changes in any case. You are dealing with you are in a struggle against a dictatorship. There are no fixed solutions or answers to any situation. You must be able to change as the situation changes. So even if he said so, remember he had come out of a bitter election. You know what that election meant? He's a human being. He could have felt, oh, wait a minute, is this worthwhile? He has a family, he has children to go to. He had been through a hard situation. So in the heat of the moment, he could have made a statement of that kind of, if it is true. But on a reflection, he also leads a political party. It's not about his own ideas alone that you one day stand up and say, you know, I'm boycotting. He's also as now as the leading political party to be the vanguard party for change in Uganda.
So is this an official position of the party?
So what I'm saying, he may even have feelings of his own, but at the end of the day, he is shouldering a responsibility not only for the National Unity Platform. Today, NUP is the leading official position in Uganda. So he doesn't take a personal position. It's not about his feeling. The whole party organ can take a contrary position, and as the party president is obliged to play ball.
Thank you very much. Do you get tremors when Kyagulanyi announces that this time it's a vote by protest?
No. NRM doesn't have the history of being panicky. We are steady. We are firm. It's okay for Mwanga Kivombe and his group to do hyperbole. That's okay. But remember our recent history. The previous leading opposition party, what did they say? Since 2006, 2011, 2015, defiance civil disobedience. Where did you take them? If they choose to take that route and even exceed what FDC did, we shall meet in the courtroom of public opinion.
Yeah, but remember, this is a party that gave you a run for your money in 2021 elections.
Are you saying FDC didn't give us a run for our money? At the time, FDC also gave us a run for our money. But what was the net result at the end of it? The Basoga, we have a saying, Amatoke Masu, that hot bananas, especially if it is Katogo, you handle it with the fresh banana leaves. So if they try to be hot bananas, hot Katogo, there's the NRM and the government of Uganda has sufficient fresh leaves to handle that hot Katogo, which means we shall be able to eat that hot Katogo that NOP may try to serve.
Okay, do you have a clear understanding? Okay, fine.
4, he says, yes, there are mistakes that different players make. Sometimes it's party officials of NRM, sometimes it's ordinary supporters, sometimes the candidates, quite often government people, especially the one he has cited, law enforcement officers, either who are acting on wrong intelligence, command and control on operation matters are weak, and therefore mistakes are made and repeated in another election, another by-election, another engagement, maybe public and so on. But that notwithstanding, Afrobarometer, who you know very well, released the report. All of us know that Afrobarometer group is a credible group, which shows on a number of things that NRM is the most popular. Let alone the fact that we have won elections, we have won by-elections, we have also won public policy positions that majority of Ugandans support our policy positions on a number of things, even when they are controversial. So when Honorable Mwanga Kibumbi says we are not popular, that's his word. We shall not argue with it. But there are studies, including the one I'm quoting first, Afrobarometer. They have just released.
Is it the one for Akida?
Afrobarometer has just, you made the point.
No, Wakil does his research well.
Yes, you made your contribution. We listen to you. Don't froth. Don't froth. Listen to me. You will respond later. Now the data Afrobarometer, I just want to give 3 things it has highlighted. One, that 70% of Ugandans say they believe in the current political trend and democracy. You can go and read that report by yourself. 2, they say NRM is the most popular party among the political parties in the country. 3, they are saying the popularity of President Museveni, who has been in power for 39 years now, if elections were held yesterday, according to that poll, he would take 56%. 4, it says the least trusted groups or entities in the country is opposition political groups. This report is available. Yes, this report is. This report is. This report.
I've not seen it at least.
I am telling you, this report is available by Afrobarometer.
When was it released?
You can Google. It was done this week. It was done this, but it is a research.
Is it out?
Yes, it is a research conducted last October, November. Their sample was 2,600. But you can Google anyway, probably not now, but after, to enrich. But this is their finding. They may be wrong in some aspects, but I want to believe, because this is the 12th opinion survey. By their findings, even where they fault NRM or the government, I am persuaded by majority of their findings. And so, the NRM and the government is open to discussions on areas of concern.
You are aware there is a looming shutdown now that...
No, but I've told you, historically, we have never had an election in the last 25 years, since the 20 years of multi-party politics, or even before that, that we have never had a showdown, or people threatening. You remember the Constituency Assembly election, or even before that, the expansion of NRSC, where UPC was the bravado. They said they will not participate. Then Milton Obote issued a dictum from Lusaka and said no UPC person should participate in CA election. And if you participate, I will expel you. And indeed, he expelled the Cecilio Guards. You remember? So we have had a showdown. Then we had the IPFC of Semogrere. We had reform agenda, where Mr. Besige said he's the one who knew NRM inside out and was going to pulverize NRM, you know. And so the threats by, verbal threats by Mwanga Kivumbi
as I move to be there,
has been a protest politician from the day he entered national politics, from Makerere University as the DP, UYD, Uganda Young Democrats. You remember he was the one, he was among those leading popular resistance against...
I'll certainly come back to you.
Popular resistance against third term. You remember?
Against life presidency.
Ask him how that contest between him or his group and us ended. So, we are used to Mwanga Kivumbi. We shall handle him.
Well, Honorable Mbide, thank you for joining us. OO seems to look at this as mere empty rhetoric on a different day. Do you feel aroused by the mere slogan or the mantra of vote by protest?
Now, first of all, I can tell you, I think let us agree on this show that we are going to adopt a working definition of protest vote, or vote by protest. Because when you look at what it means, it is a resignation. It is a boycott of an election. Yes, that's what it implies. A protest vote, incidentally, is conducted in a multiplicity of manners. Either you tick the ballot uncommitted, you tick the ballot by way of a nullity, in the protest, in a firm belief that actually even voting itself is wasteful. We have had experiences probably in the United States. There was a time when in Michigan, persons warned the Democrats that here we are going to mark all our ballots uncommitted. Why? Because they were angered by a few things that were ongoing, and to the extent that the Democrats then would lose that election. In our precincts here, I don't think that is what the leaders of NUP would want to imply.
Do you find it vague?
I do not find it applicable to what they actually intended to do. What they intended to imply is that a shutdown by marking wrongly a ballot. That would be an impossibility. So we will adopt a working definition. Actually, they intend to mean. Number two, I have heard our brother alluding to the Afrobarometer survey. I would like to tell you, to give you this. The Ibrahim was conducted in an area where there has been conducted. The answers to that survey is ignorance. So we are dealing with the population with the lowest political maturity on the political maturity thermometer, to the extent that all of those answers that we are given could sound correct but wrong, because those that answered such actually based on ignorance. You see, they say.
So you want to dismiss the survey even before reading anything
that
about
survey
it?
Is not indicative. First of all, if you look at the way, proper proposals and analysis on a free and fair election, where you would base, for example, analysis to indicate that the Afrobarometer survey is a logical possibility. That was, I think that was Professor Robert Doe of the University of Yale. He gave guidelines. One, that for you to assess an election as free and fair, there must be independence of the management of that election. So the managers of the election should be independent. Ours are a system of puppetry, perpetuated from top to bottom. Number two, that there must be civic education. There should be substantive knowledge of why even the voter is voting. Here people are even thanking government for construction of a road. So the roads we have in Uganda, government can be thanked. But people do not know that once roads are constructed, we must now assess them in terms of the road quality index. Now that one, nobody talks about it. Everybody will talk of road connectivity without the quality index, the indices. So that means we don't have the civic education that can arrive at proper answers to questions by the Afrobarometer survey. We have had close to 7. We are supposed to have 7 elections here in Africa. Because 5 others, but all elections had new leaders. Major notification of holding the mantle of South Africa without. He was humbled in that. All needs to go back and what the survey says about those elections. It was because the existing states in the countries where we have had terms of election management are to the extent, one, when you look at Namibia, for example, electoral commission is formed by judges. You look at Mozambique, electoral commission is formed by parliament. But and we are established like veranda. So government, there is some freedom and fairness of election. In Uganda, that you want to do a protest vote. For me, it means you don't even have to attend such election.
So do you subscribe to of a protest, or you find it
in terms of what it means? No. But a working definition that we want here, I would subscribe. Now, the working definition is to give a short literal And for me, I don't believe in boycott. Because even if you are in doubt, at least you should look intelligent. For me, that's what I believe. We cannot boycott. But we can cause a state of ungovernability. For example, even during and after elections. And that now takes a concerted effort of all of us.
Thank you. Honorable Lydia, you've participated in elections and you've been around and seen a number of elections. Do you think a vote by protest would change the dynamics of elections in Uganda?
Maybe I should begin by saying maybe we will cross the bridge. Let the protests ensue and then we see the definition in practical terms. But from what my big brother Oo gave you examples of the past, even our 1994 constitution, when it was being promulgated, there are people who protested and they said they would not sign, but they have the protest did not live another year. They joined government. They became big people. I think we also have, we should always look at our history. There are those moments of passion and emotions, which I think Honorable Chivumbi said, people can get angry and talk, but then have reflections. Because we have a country to lead, we have a contribution to make, and we cannot, we should not hold so much on what someone has said 3-4 years ago, and maybe they've had reflections and there's a window to contribute. So I've just given you an example. We are still running the 1995 constitution, even when it's amended. At the time when people who are in CA refused to sign, if they had remained with that, they would have been left government or politics or parliament and would have lost out on their contribution. Some of them contributed until when their best breath came to an end.
Yeah, but given this current sentiment on the ground,
let it come.
Do you think it makes a protest vote fertile?
The way we know the protest vote is either to boycott, you don't participate, or to make it very difficult for an election to happen. And I'm saying, let it come. Where I sit as the NRM party, we are ready for the general election. We are going to participate. We are not going to protest. If you have people who are protesting the way we know protests, we will meet. We will meet because the roadmap is out.
Before I take on Honorable Semujunganda, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, what's the end in mind?
First of all, let me clarify. In a world where the army goes to its voters in the way it did, don't also trust that intelligence manipulate these surveys. And you study the history of those who have been conducting surveys, where they've ended up. Deep state. So don't trust those surveys. Two, there is a sea of difference between data findings and data presentation. For example, he's telling you that President Yoweri Museveni will win by 60%. But he's forgetting that the leading candidate, no, wait a minute, wait a minute.
No, don't misrepresent me.
Wait a minute.
No, you didn't listen, I said 56, that's what the survey says.
Yes, that's what I'm quoting you.
No,
wait, in the last election,
listen properly,
the leading opposition candidate, who was Bobi Wine of National Unity Platform, got 34. Yes. Now, if President would win by 44, opposition has grown to 40. So, but the one presenting data will not show you that the opposition has grown to 44. It will show you President will win by 56. What about the other way around? So you study the mind of people who present data. Now the way it is presented, it is the other way around. Actually, it will, if that Afrobarometer is to be believed, then the opposition should celebrate that it has now gone to 44%.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll certainly get back to you. Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, you participated in the defiance vote by defiance. And here we are now going for vote by protest? Is it just a change of semantics?
Tomorrow, Dr. Besige will be in Nakawa. The government has filed an application. They want to use his phones to collect evidence so they can convict him. We have another PFF leaders, 36 abducted from Kisumu. They will be at the International Crimes Division for Terrorism. Dr. Besige's lawyer, Aaron Chiza, will be at High Court applying for bail. I was at a radio station before I came here, and I said, for us as a political group, those are the conditions in which we are gearing up for the next elections. The media likes discussing preparation for the elections. The debate within the FDC and the opposition since I joined politics in 2010, 2011.
FDC and the opposition?
Because when I joined politics, I was the spokesperson for the inter-party cooperation. There was FDC and others. That's why I said FDC and the larger opposition. The discussion was, and I don't think maybe a fool, but anyone even of average understanding will know that Mr. Museveni will cheat elections. I was interviewing Elia Kategaya, the late, and he told me the only election Museveni won that is not organized was of Scripture Union in Intale. That's the only election he won. But the subsequent election, of course, he lost until when he's the one organizing elections. So even a person of average understanding will know that Museveni is preparing to cheat these elections. Ofono Opondo has said the state and the government of Uganda. General Sejusa used to say, I remember in 2004, I was the Observer, was known for saying, we must show the state exists. Exists. One of elections. They must show the state exists. And Ofono has spoken about the state and government and told Mwanga Chivumbi, wait, we will see. I met a friend, one of the people who are in Luweero fighting, and he told me he thinks as a country we should be bothered. And I saw Ofono Opondo himself is bothered. Today he speaks like the real Ofono Opondo speaking for the NRM. But these days he writes columns in the New Vision of an elder. I didn't know, and I thank God that I lived to see Ofono Opondo behaving like an elder, mindful of the country and the direction it is taking. And I was teasing him before we came here that as a result of his article and maybe other things, Mr. Museveni abandoned going to court to nullify Narukola's victory because Ofono Opondo's article was very, very strong. And for me, that's the debate I think we should be having as a country. Not partisan debate where we are defending positions that are not helpful. So the NRM historical told me what is bothering him now is the state working with the chiefs. And he told me in Kawembe, how can government, the state, hire chiefs? Because the chiefs are mugging and brutalizing people on the street. Cameras have been showing them snatching laptops and phones, sometimes even killing. And government in broad daylight is deploying them. When we had our own internal problems with the Nandaland group, they loaned the chiefs group working with the Brigadier Damulira, the director of crime intelligence, to Nandala and his group. They nearly killed the FDC chairperson of Busia. Now they were in Kawempe, in broad daylight, taking ballot boxes. So the trouble, and I go back to the debate that we used to have in FDC, knowing that Mr. Museveni is going to cheat elections, knowing that he's going to unleash violence. Do we participate or we don't participate? The view of Dr. SJ was sometimes misunderstood, that we should go and participate, but also on our own terms. You go in an election, Museveni cheats it, you mobilize the country to defy. I don't think the Mwangas are just looking for a different word, but they are saying the same thing that we have always said. To say protest vote and defiance, I don't see the difference. I was on a radio station this evening. And
what were the dividends of the defiance vote?
Let me come to that shortly. Elias Lukwago, who stood for mayor in Kampala, he was being cheated by Sematimba, who was independent but officially an NRM candidate. They hired the taxis in Kampala, about 60 of them, parked them around Serena, and loaded the Chifesi. They started brutalizing people, but the Kampala people said, no, we will go and take them on, including a threat to go and ban Sematimba's radio station. That election was called off. And that's what VSG meant. That you actually don't sit there, they slap you and you cry. You must also devise means to respond. Lukwago responded and the election was cancelled. They said, okay, we'll have it next time. So that's going into an election of this nature. I don't want to lose the point. In FDC, there are people who said, no, we must not issue any threat. We should go and prepare, have party branches established, and then we will go and overwhelm the dictator. The slogan by Mwanga's president in the last election, that we will go and overwhelm.
Remove the dictator.
You don't overwhelm the dictator by your desire. You must prepare. I don't think Lukwago overcame that election by rhetoric. There was actually adequate preparation for it. So what Mwanga is saying, and I'm coming to the point, whether there were dividends, your success fighting for freedom is going to be determined not only by your own preparation, but also by other conditions, intervening conditions. I always want to pick courage and from what happened in Syria. People who were fighting Bashar al-Assad, who was very strong, equipped himself to the teeth for so many years. So the conditions in the country at that time did not favor them. But as soon as the conditions in Syria changed, they almost effortlessly walked to Damascus. The conditions in Uganda will never be the same, Ofonopon, I can tell you. That you control the state of Obote, I'm told one time by an elder, Obote, one of the UPC ladies called Nait Kurabako, she was laughing at Semuogerere. She was at Katavi as the convoy of Obote and soldiers and everything. I have seen Museveni in these days. He walks with the anti-aircrafts. He said, now, this one can even control the army, and they started laughing at Semuogerere. But you know where Obote ended. And it doesn't matter how many years you have been in power. Gaddafi was in power for 43 years. We should all be working for good conditions under which you hold the elections. And I want to salute Ofonopon. I've told you his last article was a very good article. They can only accuse him of making it public. But internally, if they listen to it, and you and NRM allow us to have a debate on how to improve the elections, to create stability for the country. Because stability cannot be because you are now in power, you have the military, you can drive members into polling stations. The law in election is very clear. Not even a person armed with an AK-47 is allowed to go near a polling station because people must vote in a free atmosphere. In Kawempe, members, the last time I saw members, they were in Guru. But you drive them into a polling station. Not one, but 3 of them at Kawempe Mbogo. And then you are saying, you people, okay, we'll wait for you, Mwanga.
As we take a break.
So the point I am making, and I want to emphasize that point, is that what Mwanga National Unity Platform are going through, we went through it. And until we have achieved freedom, everybody will make the same preparation.
Do you imagine is picking your template, or they are playing?
It is not our template. The condition, I have said, the behavior of human beings is conditioned on circumstances that they face. If you slap me, I am going to be angry. If you slap Mwang, you will also be angry, except if he's a fool that you slap him and he's laughing. So those conditions will determine how people behave. I have told you the first person to succeed here in an election that government was cheating was Lukwago. Why? The people of Kampala knew that their sovereignty was being cheated by Mr. Museveni and his candidate. And they said, one of the things we'll do, we'll walk to Matimba's radio station and burn it down. And they were walking there. I was at Lukwago's home. They started firing tear gas and the bullets. People continued walking until they said, okay, this election, please postpone it. We cannot continue under the circumstances. So when you drive people into those conditions, their behavior is standard.
Okay. Do you feel the electoral tempo of the country is going to rise because of this new mantra now, this new slogan?
The population will seize any opportunity to get rid of Museveni. It does not matter whether the person leading is Kyagulanyi, whether it is a traditional leader. People want to change. People want to be free. That you can go in an election and you don't have to worry about Mamba and Jati and Chifesi, because things are getting worse. When I joined Mwanga, because Mwanga was in politics when I was in the media. So when I joined the politics, active politics in 2011, there was even the luxury of allowing us to hold rallies. We went actually around Uganda here holding political rallies with no interference. Today to hold a rally, you will celebrate. They will find reasons to stop you. The last time I attempted to have a rally in my constituency, they say it is near a railway line. And I said, but I am representing an urban area. I'm not going to have it in a banana plantation. They said, no, you will not have it. So even to have a rally, a successful rally, that's why Narukola nomination is being grabbed from a motorcycle. And his crime is that there are people walking with him. And Museveni's son says, even by walking badly, we shall beat you.
Well, the question remains, vote by protest. Is it anything that will bring the morale or the motivation into elections, or how will it in a way influence the trajectory of Uganda's electoral politics? We'll take a very short break and return. Good evening.
Frontline.
Alright, listen up. Colocate is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth. And we'll leave no smile behind.
Uganda, are you ready to kick things up to the next level? The Uganda National Lottery brings you Sports Take 10. Predict the results of 10 football games and win big. With tickets at only 500 shillings, join the fun and make your prediction. Sports Take 10.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
This is nature. This is timeless. This is more than a destination, but a reinvention that will open your mind. The promise of spaces as extensive as your imagination. Filled with surprises, each moment transforms as often as you do, and a room to breathe. This is not a business as usual, but a new way to inspire, connect, and yes, build ideas. We are on a journey to make your gateway unforgettable. The perfect blend of leisure and adventures. it is not all about your destination to Kalangala Island, but where you stay matters. We are Bravard Science Lodge.
Street issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission. Internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone. Netagayo karoni. Nigga mukafoni. Money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
In a world where every cough and flu feels like a distraction, making you feel uneasy, where every cough and flu interrupts your day, making you lose concentration, and where every cough and flu keeps you up at night. Introducing Genacough DS Herbal Syrup, used to treat cough, flu, sore throat, allergy, and asthmatic coughs instantly. Genacough DS Herbal Syrup is made from our local herbs approved by National Drug Authority and is ideal for both children and adults. Genacough DS Herbal Syrup is a product of Gena Herbal Limited, the makers of Covidex, available in all pharmacies countrywide. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. Gena Herbals, the home of safe herbal medicines.
Yes!
Everyone has a dream of owning a house this year. It's your turn to Joga 2025 with ABSA. Switch to ABSA and make your dream a reality by applying for the ABSA Home Loan. Call 0800 222 333 and let's get started. ABSA, your story matters.
Frontline.
Welcome back as we continue looking at the new slogan or the new mantra of the National Unity Platform, vote by protest. How much does it feed into the broader conversation of electoral politics ahead of 2026? Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, we missed out on the ingredients of voting by protest. What exactly will it take?
I said everything you want, unless you want me to repeat myself. But let me first take on OO here. He came here to to say Afrobarometer. I've looked at the last year's results. You see, that's why I've told you that those findings are normally manipulated by intelligence and the deep state. And there is a sea of difference between data findings and data presentation. I've looked at last year's results. This Uganda is an amazing country.
You mean there was a survey last year?
No. Last election is results.
Last election, okay.
Last election is results. After President Yoweri Museveni, he gave himself, okay, for 58.38%. The National Unity Platform, led by President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, scored 35.08. The third category that came third in that election were invalid votes, okay, which were 3.66. Then you go to Amoriat. So invalid voters were more than those who turned up to vote for Mao and to vote for all these other candidates. So in a country where the third category is of invalid votes, then you treat data very carefully. But also the one who presented this data could have chosen to say Museveni support has declined. That's a finding. And the opposition support has increased. He chose to say the other. So just disregard that Afro thing. It's just a preparation Assembly has done, a psychological preparation of a country for an eventuality that will happen when rigging has taken place. Elections in Uganda are now fought on 4 co-op by NRM, which you have to overcome. The first pillar is fear and intimidation. Can they for once organize an election where there is no fear and intimidation? The second pillar for which they anchor the election is vote buying, vote bribery. To the extent I know, in the last year's election, in every village on a voting day, they sent money there to really go and buy votes in a presidential election. Not only that, you'll see, Honorable Semji is now a shadow minister for finance. You are going to see an escalation of classified spending in every year when we are moving towards the election calendar. It will hover around 5 trillion. From about 2.3 in the non-election. Why? That whole money goes into voter bribery. The other one is outright rigging and falsification of results. Then the Afrobarometer thing, disinformation. So those are the...
So the same factors are still alive.
So if you are going to confront NRM, if you are going to confront Museveni and his regime, you have to deal with the army. There is always a form that where they will beat you. At one time it was Kalangal Action Plan under Kakoza Mutale. Then this time they are now deploying JAT. But this is pre-election. They are deploying JAT. There was a time when they had Chiboko Squad. Chiboko Squad was there. Then Kayura unleashed crime preventers. At every turn of election, NRM has never gone for an election without a militia behind, without an outright force intimidating people. So our declaration of a protest vote is that we are going to defy those odds. We shall have to mobilize the country to surmount those challenges.
Okay, there is this ambiguity that actually Honorable Mbide hinted on. Protest vote, does it mean you're boycotting?
Get him right. He said if you give it a retro meaning, it will mean that. But said
practically speaking, you want people to walk to the ballot.
We want people to walk to the ballot, knowing there will be heavy deployment, there will be intimidation, there will be all those other challenges, there will be voter bribery, there will be vote rigging, and the challenge is how do you surmount? And as Honorable Sem just told you, regimes, and I'm watching this regime very carefully, but it's from so many fronts. One, I'm watching geopolitics. What is happening in Sudan, in Congo, and what is going on, how will it impact on our local politics? Me and Semuju are also watching carefully how the economy is reacting to those challenges. We are near economic collapse as a country. So when you look, and then the population, you are dealing with the population. A President Yoweri Museveni, Ugandans that are above the age of 80 are not more than 150,000. Go and study the population figures. His age mates, 70% of the population are below the age of 35. Definitely there is going to be a reaction to that. And you are going to deal with that scenario. So we are fired up as the opposition, the young people. We are fired up, those old people with
Honorable Mwanga Chifubi, do you believe in elections?
I do. I'm a product of an election. But you see, what it took me to come to Parliament, everyone here was in my by-election. Honorable Joju was literally my chief campaign agent there. Honorable Mbide was nearly imprisoned there. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be. Narukola, had Narukola faced that challenge and not in a by-election where all of us were there, he would maybe have lost it. He could have been stolen away from him. So should that be the normal thing? The Kawempe scenario, because all of us had to be there in the Tare Center, in Imbogo, to simply inspire people to stand up and be strong. The entire opposition was there in some form. Therefore, in a generation, Honorable Narukola will not see the light of day if he was isolated as a single actor. But shouldn't be the normal thing.
When someone drums up that mantra of election, vote by protest, it suggests that things are not going to be as normal as they have traditionally been. Do you look at 2026 as a bloody affair?
First of all, by their own description, no election in Uganda recently has been smooth. So you ask, how did they win? So, by their own description, it hasn't been smooth. So in a sense, they are saying the election is going to be the same or similar. From him, he gave you 4 things.
The 4 pillars.
The 4
Fear,
pillars.
vote buying, rigging, and disinformation.
Yes. Nobody has been on intimidation, harassment, haranguing than opposition. You remember, since the vote in the parliament of the age limit, one of the reasons that made the Mwanga Kivumbi succeed was actually intimidation in Buganda, where they succeeded, haranguing NRM candidates and supporters. Even just putting on a yellow dress was enough for Mwanga Kivumbi's group to beat you up and scare you away from the polling station. Even the opposition groups that were not ameliorating to them, like my brother there, you can see he is holding his chin. One of the reasons he has, literally speaking, he hasn't been touching nope from close range, is that he didn't believe, he hasn't, I don't think he's, if he does so now, maybe because he has been intimidated. But from what Mwanga Mukasembina has been saying on the media, you clearly see somebody who has trepidation about nope politics in this region, whether it is on the ground, in the media, and so on. He knows that they pounce on you if you try to disagree with them. So, and I had said earlier on in my first submission, I said there are clearly areas of concern. Honorable Sembuju takes issue with my recent writing.
And I am very happy.
And I'm saying...
He's congratulating you.
And I'm saying that should be the ideological position of a true NRM ideologue. What does NRM stand for? Clean politics. What are elements of clean politics? This mischief that is going on in our election, our politics, that they have ably described here. That's not what NRM stands for. When we go for politics, we say we are going for clean politics. And therefore, if there are elements from NRM...
You realize we are all surprised that today you're preaching against mischief.
Yes, if there are elements in the government that NRM is the leader of, who go beating up people at election, real NRM people should not associate with it. So a real NRM ought to publicly condemn. Yes, those who enjoy fora where they discuss SEC members, members of the caucus, should go to that fora and discuss it. But if things have been done in the open, it is critical, it is prudent that NRM leaders should speak against it publicly so that the world knows that that is not what NRM stands for.
It's amazing that
yes, that's,
has changed tone.
No, I am an ideologue of I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm an ideologue.
So you're representing the bitter members of the NRM who feel that the party has gone off the rails.
No. You as a DP member.
Pun intended.
No, not pun intended. You're a DP member.
Fine.
But our moderator, you can say bitter. NRM people don't have to be bitter to speak the truth, to see the wrong. No. We should speak from our ideological commitment, position, what we stand for. And that's why you see Ofonopo doesn't have qualms. That's why you see President Museveni stands in the public and says, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. When
Opondo, you're now speaking for the disgruntled NRMs.
No. I am speaking for...
Actually, you know, they say patriotism is defending your country even against your own government. Maybe it's being...
ideological clarity. Practical clarity. That's what any reasonable NRM member, let alone a cadre like me, ought to speak publicly the truth.
Samju is very
so, and you see, Samju should be scared.
The Mushegas, everybody were complaining that NRM was abandoning the ideals is speaking to today. It was Ofonopondo, Biaruhanga, Fox Odoi, who were haranguing them.
No, you didn't understand. You didn't understand. what we disagreed with them and what we disagreed with them then and even now was stabbing NRM in the back. Going into a meeting, you agree or you keep silent. Now when you come here, then you disagree with the position you took part in. The decision you took part in. You remember our disagreement with my disagreement with the Right Honorable former Speaker. We said, no, you can't come to SEC, you agree on one position. When you go in the public, you see something else. That's where we disagreed with the Right Honorable Kategaya and others. Honorable Vidandi.
Honorable Vidandi, you're itching to say something. Just a second. Can we interrupt you?
By the way, I'm about to congratulate for joining a long list of all of those that were actually citing very critical information against the NRM. I had once warned here that the president of Uganda runs the NRM government as a pendulum swing, so swinging from absolutism to democracy, and from democracy back to absolute dictatorship. In fact, the speed with which it swings to both ends is the same. And what now the NRM people are supposed to do is to cling on. And whoever, instead of clinging on, you start gazing upwards, you fall off. You become dizzy and fall off. Honorable Vidandi fell off. Honorable Kategaya fell off. Honorable Mbabazi did so. Besije did so. Mugisha Muntu. Now. Almost, because now he's about to join the list. And we will welcome you, by the way, very seriously, because
but you are with us this side. Are you not with us this side?
This side, yeah, we are now together. so and we welcome you. In fact, for me, I'll sponsor the cake cutting for OO, because now you have recognized the true ideology of how Uganda was fought for, liberated, and should be run. Things that the NRM government has long skedaddled from. And that is where we all lie. That is why we go to the polls, because we believe that the first point of democracy as the 10-point program is still applicable. But we discover even after polls that it wasn't respected after all.
Why would you fault me?
I'm not faulting you, I'm welcoming you.
If the first point of NRM point program is restoration
of democracy,
of popular and participatory democracy.
Yes.
And some elements, maybe few of them, or even if there were many, even if there were many, diluting it, why would it be a problem to speak about them? You see,
it is or you're concerned about the direction the party is taking.
Like the things that Ugandans saw in Kawempe. No reasonable NRM should defend it.
So the president is
no. So
the president,
if you have correct, accurate information, we should be the first one to speak against them, so that we deny ground to the Mwanga Kivumbis.
Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, I think this is very interesting, and in a way,
provided you have
it is twisting the discussion.
Yes. So, but anyway, you had asked defiance. I had said earlier on that if there are things that are not going on well, which we know, many of us recognize, NRM is open to have discussion. Hopefully we can build convergence on the things that need to be done right, and we do them right. That's why I'm saying the talk of Mwanga Kivumbis, of vote by protest. Not in the sense of Mbide, but protest of defiance, of belligerence, probably we don't even need to reach there, because NRM should be able to listen to those things, and we are the ones in charge.
So you imagine the ground is right for the populace to vote by protest against the things, the evils that the NRM is committing.
NRM should not allow the population to vote by protest. And I do believe NRM has all the flexibility, all the levers to deny the Mwanga Kivumbis the ground they want, the way we denied FDC that ground. And by denying FDC that ground, you have seen where FDC is. Just by denying them that ground. We bought it. Yes. So if we bought it, yes, you have yourself to blame, to have leaders that are buyable.
If I have a robber, so I blame myself.
Honorable Lydia Wanyoto,
you should blame yourself for
given what is currently obtaining, the evils or the failures of the NRM, don't you think they would make a protest vote valid and tenable under the circumstances?
We are preparing for elections. We are not aware of the protest vote, but you see, politics and elections are like maybe a game. We shouldn't look like we are going to war, and we also protest. We do not support this is a civil exercise. We do not support fights, violence in this exercise. But you see, when you are preparing for, let me say, is it boxing? When you are preparing for boxing, there are these ones who come and show you their muscle, they begin scaring, but when you got the ring, they fall on the first fist. So there are people who are talking too much on how they are going to protest, on how they are going to show down. But the NRM for us, we are...
Remember the coffee debate, the first man to run away was this one.
So for us, we are preparing for elections, and by May, we are going to begin our internal exercises. That's not for me to announce. We have the secretariat and the commission that's doing that. But you see, I hear a lot of talk, the Baganda Sebeweda, they are showing muscle, they are scaring, they are telling us how they are going to give us a showdown. We are ready. The roadmap is out of the National Electoral Commission. Our own roadmap of NRM is about to get to start. We are anytime they are going to, it is going to be announced and launched. And then let the best man or woman win. Let the best protest come out. Because now we don't want to preempt what the other people in the boxing ring are bringing. Maybe they have better strokes, they have better fists, they have better muscles, we don't know. But when they punch us and we fall down, we shall concede. When we punch them, they should also concede. Because they are coming to the boxing ring. They have because they come here and say talk, but they participate in the election. In 1980, and it is all likes giving the history, even I think all of you. In 1980 or before 1980, there were actual protesters. Some of them resigned from cabinet, like President Museveni. They refused to participate in the government. They went and fought their way to change the status quo. Now you are here when you win an election. Say, I suffered but I won. You go and form government. You are part of government. So you quarrel, but again tomorrow you're in government. You quarrel. So let's wait and see how you're going to win, by quarreling, by threatening. But when you come to the boxing ring, we shall see how much your muscles can give us a fist to fall down. That's the way I see it, and I'm listening, and I'm wondering what it is. Because back at home, where I've come from, for us, we are ready. We know we are going for a contest, and we are preparing. And may the best man or woman win the next election.
Honorable Semuju, the National Unity Platform is no stranger to sloganeering. Could this be just one of them?
No. I said in my submission that what we went through the time we are leading the opposition, they will go through it. What we said they will say, because the conditions they face are conditions we faced. The words may change, the profiling and prescription may change. But as long as you go into an election with an incumbent who wants to raid the central bank, who wants to use the military, the police, there is a natural reaction to all those conditions. But also, your campaign is not just a campaign at a podium. Please come on voting day and vote for me and go home and sleep. Even when you get I have been sleeping in Wakiso Terrace and I shouldn't. In all the last election, I had 186 polling stations. I lost at only one with one vote. But I still had to go and sleep at the terrace end. And
for 3 nights.
For 3 nights, just to get declared. And this is in an urban setup. So in rural areas, it can get worse. I remember one time, Honorable Livingstone Okero called from Uchwa. There were no radio stations. He got beaten. He had to tell his story after elections because he said, if I leave now, it will get worse. So let me hang on. Until he came here with the photos of people who are blooded, they had been beaten. And I agree with everybody, that's not the election that we should have. Unfortunately, that's the election that we have.
Okay, do you imagine the opposition is now at a crossroads on whether to participate in an election whose outcome is more or less predictable, or to boycott?
I have said, at the expense of repeating myself, if you want to fight for freedom, you will do what is within your means and then pray that the conditions will favor you. And that's as the rebel groups in Syria. They knew that overrunning Bashar al-Assad was almost impossible, but they didn't give up. So they continued organizing until the conditions changed. And the moment they realized that the conditions have changed, they started walking up to Damascus. And that's why I was telling Ofono Pondo, we don't have to go that road. In Libya, same story. Gaddafi brutalized everybody. J. Rawlings in Ghana did the same thing. So was Mugabe. But the moment conditions changed, all these pharaohs were removed. There are conditions that may not be in our favor at the moment, but those conditions are not permanent. They will change.
Honorable Mbide, do you feel persuaded to coalesce with the National Unity Platform, maybe to better their new phrase or their new strategy?
Yes, completely. I would say yes, because I think we need to choreograph the protest process within the working meaning that we have adopted. There are countries where, of course, a protest has worked. When you look at Senegal, the current president was not the intended winner. The man who was actually the ringleader of the opposition was Sonko, but he had been taken to prison. Then there was a process that had been geared towards declaring Wadezi San as a candidate, where also the Reasonable Electoral Commission declared him a non-citizen because he was born out of the country. To the extent then that the independent guy had to be supported in protest and won. So I can tell you it can be framed. Number two, when you look at the election we are going for, and I think we need to fixedly also take stock of Honorable Wanyeto's submission. The peremptory procedure has always been that the winners prepare to take an oath of office, join opposition, and ultimately form part of government. And I think this has to change, because it is only a result of a wrong election, but where you can allow you to take oath of office to punctuate the process of government as if it has opposition, government, and generate a hodgepodge of nonsense that we can call a government in Uganda. Now, the election you go for, where JAT can even allow somebody to vote or not, where results of that election, those that do not know how to tick the ballot come third in a general election, then you know that kind of election is full of estoppels. We can call them blockades, facilades, fanfaronades, and gasconades. It is an election that is actually not an election. It is a banned election, but within the precincts of a figment, some posturous activity that somebody would want to call an election for purposes of international, generating a clean name that we have got an election calendar in Uganda. Therefore, we are democratic. Something I have already called the democradula here, not a democracy. Once you know you are headed for that, then we must now plan a phase. The process of protesting has to be phased, it has to be planned, and it cannot be done by one political party. One not a forest. So I think this is where we need to work together, all of us, to the extent that we can now.
Do you feel excluded? Do you feel left in the cold as colleagues in the opposition?
I feel we feel disjointed, not excluded. There would not be pontification here, because now nobody knows who will win on the opposition, except the fact that we know who will be declared. Because the person declaring has been appointed by a candidate, and you know that he is not at liberty to declare anything to the contrary. Probably they must even rehearse the process of declaration of results. Because now, with that kind of body politic in the country, you know that the opposition will need to work together.
Thank you. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, it looks like fait accompli that Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi is the presidential candidate for NUP come 2026. Is this true?
Yeah, by all parameters, he will be the president.
What happened to internal processes?
Anybody who wants to contest against him, declare and contest. The other time Andrew Mwenda tried but abandoned the process. So definitely we've taken that decision.
You as
the part of the leadership, we have taken a decision that we shall fill the presidential candidate, and there is one willing.
I thought a candidate emerges out of the delegates.
Forget about. You see, deal with the reality.
You have your processes.
For example, before taking me to that angle, there are three choices the country can make, and the country must face them. We either say the answer to a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun, as the Americans say. If you have bad men with guns, let good people have guns and sort them out. It's the choice the current leadership, an option they decided to take 40 years or 40 so many years ago. They saw what was happening in the country. They said, this one, we will sort it out through acquiring arms. So the democratic seeking forces have the option on the table to say, okay, fine, you are not going to roll members over us, you are not going to use JAT over us. Okay, let's organize. Defeating us is a different matter. You say, okay, let us pick arms. But the country has been there. And we chose, me and others, chose not to take that route. The second route is to say, second option is that, well, we surrender. It's game over. these guys have overwhelmed us, and you give it up. And you go down in the annals of history as betrayers. The third option is what we've chosen to take, is that you can approach Mountain Elgon from any direction, but it remains Mountain Elgon, and you have to deal with it. So we've decided in our own ways is that irrespective of how difficult the journey will be, we are going to soldier on through a protest vote. The question is, has it succeeded anywhere?
Does the ground favor you?
No. Has it succeeded anywhere? Two things. Has dictatorship ever succeeded anywhere? This kind of brutality, maiming, intimidating people, bribing them, has it succeeded anywhere? I can tell you from all research, it has always ended in gross failure. The most advanced that had nuclear weapons was Russia. Okay? The most advanced dictatorship ever been assembled and acquired nuclear weapons. It was defeated by Boris Yeltsin standing on the very tank that the communists had manufactured to brutalize people in Moscow. He stood on that very tank. As the Honorable Assembly stated, conditions can quickly change.
The most recognized forms of protests are normally either blank votes, null ballots, spoiled ballots, none of the above, or voting for a fringe candidate or party or the less preferred candidate, or an organized protest or a declined ballot. Which of these are you going
Don't be academic. Stop reading Google.
Okay, let's be practical.
Listen to what we have told you, manufactured.
Let's be practical. You want to overwhelm.
You are asking Mr. Google to give you an answer. The question I'm discussing is that, and I want to give this intellectual depth, has dictatorship succeeded anywhere? But to the detriment of those who think they benefit from dictatorship, they should ask themselves, as you are building a dictatorship, where has it ended? Where has Mobutu ended? Where has Gaddafi ended? Where has Said Barre ended? Where has Mugabe ended? And their families, and their generals, and their guns. So we ask those simple questions. So dictatorship all over, the experimentation, the current regime, it can take 50 years, but it's going to end up in failure.
Okay, I want to understand this. You want to overwhelm the regime in a ballot, right?
We are not overwhelming it. We are doing ordinarily what other democratic forces have done. So they defy odds. That's what we call a protest vote. Go in knowing.
What are you doing that's been undone?
Do you go for prayers every Sunday? Do you read a different Bible? So Simon, don't be simplistic. Simple right things are repeatedly done until they yield results. Actually, if you want to fail, gamble on not doing the ordinary things. If you want to fail, gamble on not doing the ordinary thing. What defeats a dictatorship is to repeat those simple things that weaken it every day. For example, if all you can do is to stand an election and expose it the way it happened in Kawempe, you've done your part. Then begins to question the ideological anchoring of his own party. Then Madame here sounds a sycophant and justifying everything. You are working. You are causing tremors and disbelief. And I believe those are the simple things you can do. If Honorable Assembly can offer himself in an election, knowing he will sleep at a center for 4 days, but in a process, other Ugandans are saying, is this what we deserve? Can't we lead a better country? Do we deserve better? Aren't we better people? Aren't we better civilized? Is this what we are good at? And the sober Ugandans are asking those questions. All we do, we create an enabling environment for that discussion, for that introspection to happen. And for me, and for us, if that happens at a dining table, okay, as people are eating their supper, is this the country we want to live in? The answer is saying no. Is it that they are going to say we can't do anything? They'll say, but we can do something.
Watch the space.
Well,
it is interesting.
there's been a history to protest votes. For instance, in Buganda, NRM was hugely bruised in the 2021 election. That was more of a protest. Now that they have declared formally that it is a protest, do you envisage NRM losing other regions with the same punch?
No. Why? When NRM came here, and even when we formed the political party in 2003, 2005, there are parts of this country that didn't vote NRM. Kasese, you remember Ukunjiri, much of northern Uganda, Teso, they didn't. We engaged them. Civil democratic engagement alongside dealing with challenges facing them, material conditions, changing material conditions. Could be roads, could be schools, could be health, could be just the atmosphere for discussion. Since NRM lost Buganda in the last election, there are a number of things and discussions that are going on within NRM, as far as I know, the leadership of NRM at different levels, NRM and the people.
Kawempe showed you.
Kawempe is part of Buganda, but it doesn't represent the whole of Buganda. It represents a certain, not just Buganda, but urban centers in the country. So there are engagements that are going on between NRM and the people in Buganda and elsewhere. As somebody who is engaged in that process, I know that there are qualitative changes in that engagement that should improve the political and electoral stand for NRM in Buganda and other places like the North and Western Nile and Lango. And
but do you agree that 2021 was a protest in Buganda?
Yes. And we are dealing with those. Will it be successful? Perhaps not. Yes, and I'm telling you, every morning I was in a different discussion about here and Busoga, and I seem to see activity at the end of this engagement, which will culminate election of candidates into campaign and winning the vote. Now, Mwanga Kivumbi would of course want us to go down the slippery road without a break. And I am saying that's why a number of NRM leaders, they may not speak out in the forum as Ufono has spoken, but I can tell you that there are discussions going on. The things are happening. Is it the right way? Looking at where NRM has come from, I want to give assurance to Ugandans that NRM is going to engage better with the public, with the population. Some of the things you see recently happen will not be repeated, or if they are repeated, they are repeated as a mistake by people who don't learn, maybe, and for which, therefore, NRM will carry the consequences.
So, if NRM is suffering the consequences of your bad manners?
Yes, partly, because some of the things are deliberately done, but also done, even if it's not deliberate, done with carelessness. In the discussion, in the writing you're talking about, I said, for example, at the end I said, there are things that NRM, a sense, in my view, taking the public, taking the voters for granted. I said that in my writing. I said that on the last show here. I said that there are things that we NRM leaders take the vote, and if we continue to do so, and I have said this many times, I've said there was a party here called UPC everywhere. Now UPC is in only some places. There used to be a party called KANU in Kenya. It's no longer there.
It is there.
No, it's not there in the formation that it is. There used to be a party in Zambia called UNIP. So NRM has a history to pick from. Is it Honorable Semujo said, we say the ANC, African National Congress of South Africa, is our sister party. That's what NRM says. If you look at what happened to ANC in the last election, NRM leaders, if we are serious, and I think we are, should be able to pick those 4 lessons. Even the extreme examples that Honorable Semujola is quoting, of Libya, of Sudan, of Egypt, of Syria, of Iraq, NRM people, if we are serious, we should be able to pick all those examples.
Well, very interesting.
And learn from.
Speaking bluntly, we might need to take a break.
I want to believe NRM leaders are not going to repeat those stupid mistakes.
We'll take a break.
Cake on me.
NBS Frontline.
Welcome to La Rose Royal Apartments, where Kampala's charm meets luxury living. Nestled in the heart of Nakasero, this is elegance redefined. Imagine mornings with breathtaking views and evenings of pure relaxation. From stylish 2-bedroom apartments to opulent penthouses, every detail is crafted to suit your lifestyle. Live your dream with our world-class amenities. Unwind by the pool, stay active in our state-of-the-art gym, or relax in our tranquil gardens. Don't wait to live the life you deserve. Flexible payment plans and limited time offers make it easy to call La Rose home. Visit www.remaxadvisors.ug or contact Remax Advisors, the commercial agent. La Rose Royal Apartments, where luxury begins.
In the dance of shadows and light lies the heart of Uganda's resilience amidst the challenges of the night, where innovation meets necessity and education refuses to be dimmed, where connection thrives in the absence of power. Embrace the power of the sun with StarTime's solar range of solutions. And empower your journey towards a brighter tomorrow. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
in the Ministry of Works? I'm here in the Ministry of Works.
Oh, it is my late dad.
Your late dad, eh?
Yes.
Was there a house being built in the village or something?
Yes.
Is it like on a hill?
Yes,
It's on a hill.
exactly. That's our countryside home.
And that's your countryside home?
Yes, Papa.
It's not complete, eh?
Yes.
Because there are things that are going to happen.
Watch the power of prophecy with Prophet Elvis Onye this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on NBS TV, Uganda.
NBS Frontline.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for watching the Frontline. Still analyzing what the 2026 election could look like with the new slogan now unfolding: vote by protest.
Are you coming back?
Where?
I
think I'm safe
Are
here.
you neutral?
I am very safe here. I'm very safe here. And, let me handle the task at hand. Well,
I wanted to say
Honorable
something
Leader,
small.
yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say something small. Where I sit, while I'm in the NRM and we're talking about political parties, I think still largely Uganda has not yet, people in our country have not yet gripped so much onto belonging to a political party. There are other elements that deliver leaders beyond the political party. And sometimes we deny our people this chance to say that. And sometimes NRM, for me, in some areas, it is like when we are debating about domestic violence and we're saying that women are being beaten, and there are men who get beaten, but they fear. I come from a very strong opposition area, and sometimes we NRMs are in the minority. We get we're beaten, we get cheated, but you cannot come out and cry because like you're supposed to be the man, the superior of the environment. So our country, if you flash the map of Uganda, every party or every formation has a stronghold, and in that stronghold, you become the victim or the minority, and the other take another hand. So NRM if you map Uganda, NRM might be having bigger pockets of strength, especially in the rural areas. But believe me or not, there are areas in Uganda where NRM suffers victim, but we do not cry so much the way some of you people cry, because we get beaten, we get rigged. But when we say, you start laughing at us because how can you be rigged because you're in government? Remember the other thing of saying how can you be beaten because a woman can be beating.
You want to suggest the opposition?
A woman
rigs.
can be beating a man, but she's also crying.
You want to suggest the opposition rigs election?
If you put the map of Uganda on the wall, there are strongholds and there are dynamics that make people win elections even without the political affiliation. The dynamics make people have more strongholds, but then they become opposition. Like where I come from, we woke up one morning and you NRMs are all lost. How did we lose? But there is police there, we have a barracks there, we have RDCs there, but we lost elections. But we were beaten. And indeed, they were rigged elections. I went to court because I was rigged elections. There are alignments. People align here. Somebody is independent. You align with the NUP. Then you beat this Kaflaga bearer out of pulp. So I wanted us to say that, yes, where we are going now, because I'm explaining this because Chivumbi said I'm talking like a sycophant. But I'm a practicing, I think maybe I'm a wrong Ugandan. I'm a practicing politician, but I do not want to come and lament to get sympathy for a vote.
Thank you.
Because where we are heading, it's a tough season. It's competition. I talk about being in the boxing ring. When you go to a boxing ring, you be punched an eye. Or their body parts which are supposed to be punched. You don't come out crying because what you went for is a tough thing. We can only have the rules. We can level the rules. But let me say this.
Now that NUP has set the tone for 2026. Do you have an idea on how the electoral landscape looks like?
Yes, I do. First of all, I welcome people like OO. If, for example,
to where?
The NRM, I welcome them.
To where?
When they speak straight to the powers that be, where they are going wrong. Because you see, we have a duty. We don't have, everybody can have plan A, plan B, plan C, but we don't have country B. We just have one country anyway. If the president is in the business of switching off when opposition is speaking, OO has the direct line. When he speaks, he's being listened to, and he points out the wrongs. And clearly, that is the civic duty that all of us Ugandans have. And I would want to
his opposition NRM.
I mean, that is what, if that is it, then let it be. Let me tell you, that is where the president gets to know that probably also his people are aware of the wrongs that are going on. I can give you an example. Recently, I was surprised.
I need to alert our viewers that shortly we'll be switching to Afro Mobile. Please continue.
Yes, I was surprised by my 10-year-old daughter, who at one point had asked me where children come from. How do they get born? And I had recited a lot of unserious stuff. They come from heaven, from beings, from what. But when I was now looking at some of her performances in her books, she got all the answers correct in the topic of reproduction. That is when now I discovered that she knows the truth, but she's not telling me. So the president probably now gets to understand that these people know the truth, but they were not telling him when OO straight on tells him. I can tell you, Honorable Lydia, this is just the same country. All of us are men here except you. And at the risk of sounding almost diabolic, however far you urinate, the last drop will definitely get to your feet. And for me, I cannot mince words. We must speak the truth to government. Because this is the only country we have. You can have as many governments as possible.
However far you pee,
the last drop will definitely find itself on your feet. So we can say a lot of things. They have cited examples. We had the total men like Biwott in Kenya. He would decide when you are supposed to be buried. Today, where is he? The government took off and he was almost left bare hand. I can tell you, we can have an avalanche from NRM. You look at NRM, Honorable Wanyoto. The change mood resurrected within the NRM itself under the nomenclature of PLOU. So the people that gathered around all PLOU practitioners were proponents of change within NRM. And I do not want you to tell lies. And for me, I don't believe in
which lies have I told?
I don't believe in the Afrobarometer study. Because even PLOU itself was a change mood. It was anti-NRM. And that is going to be reflected in the next election.
Then what happened?
So, what the next election should represent?
Their leader was bribed.
Then what happened?
No, what happened to the leaders. But the mood and the sentiment remained. That is why we are looking at...
what does that tell you?
And Wanyoto, of
People
course...
are looking for opportunities. When you get it, you shall be under. You don't say that you are better than anyone. You are all the same.
You may need to also listen to me.
Even when you're talking about your last drop of urine, those examples are not very good.
Wanyoto, you just have to be...
I can also afford the stick and the susu will come.
I can simply tell you, Wanyoto, that the country has long moved. The focus is no longer on those that don't speak frankly. It is going to shift to those that tell the truth.
No, I think you should also know, sorry to interject, The forums matter. You do not know that in NRM we have forums where we debate these things and where we explain ourselves.
Nobody knows, not even you, NRM
because
people.
you don't have forum also.
Because I cannot be accused of not knowing when you speak the truth, when actually nobody knows.
No, we explain.
Well, I'm afraid we need to shift to Afro Mobile, and many regards to our viewers out there on Afro Mobile. But before we move, Honorable Semujunganda, what do you see on the electoral landscape as Ugandans are being mobilized now to get into the protest vote?
You see, the elections I have observed, participated in, these elections are always preceded with a discussion on how to make them better. Be they 2011, 2016,
2021.
There was almost a national debate on how the previous elections went and how we can make the subsequent ones better. As I said earlier, an NRM elder was more worried about government now institutionalizing Chifesi and working with it. And he said he thinks the country should be discussing that more than anything else. But you also have a president at 80, at least officially, because he says he doesn't know when he was born. But you can see from his face.
His date of birth is now known.
He said it was assigned to him by his daughters.
Because
that's the point I made.
So you take that one.
No, you cannot. Assigned by his daughter.
But that's official. That's what he uses in his
That's
ID.
why I said that officially he will be 80. Fonopono, I said officially.
He walked to his baptism ceremony.
So you have an 80-year-old man at the helm of the country who has unleashed his son, whose behavior and conduct is very worrying. He is swearing how many people he will kill, people he will behead, thanking, as Ofonopono is writing, to say NRM people should be ashamed of what was in Kawempe. Him is celebrating and glorifying those who did those things. But he's in charge of the military. The military that is asking about 150 billion to be part of the next elections. It's something interesting about the elections. Even the prison is asking for money for electoral activities.
Sorry?
Said, yes, Uganda prison has asked for money for elections. I haven't looked at, because the law says you must disclose the worker plan and the procurement. I want to understand how we prepare the prison for elections. But they have asked for money formally in the budget.
No, Honorable Semuju, if you read the electoral law and the constitution, I think that's 211, 212. During election, government pulls together related institutions in law enforcement, law, custody, and so on and so forth. So there may be times when prison may be required, for example, to give a hand in the transporting materials, or even keeping extra people who are stubborn like you via the court system. Yeah.
I have. So that's what is happening. So for me, that worries me. What worries me is that because you see, all the aging presidents in Africa, they have been aided in executing their duties. All of them, either by their mistresses and wives or family members. You see, these visits that you see people making to Salim Saleh and Guru, people who are in offices higher than his. I think Saleh is now part of a committee that is helping the president to run the country. So, but at least he has not been as reckless as Moses Kainerugaba, who every day says, for you I will kill you, for you I am going to beat you. Thank you very much for beating Enough. All of you surrender. You can surrender to Balaam. Can you imagine being told to surrender to an idiot like Balaam, that you surrender to it? So these things are very troubling. They are very troubling. So you're going into an election. Museveni has been cheating election, but there are things he doesn't do, or he doesn't do that way until there is too much stress. For example, the killing of people in November 2020 by Museveni and his group. It is when he's facing two. But Muhoozi, even if he faces no stress, he wants to begin by that, because he will tweet and say, for you, I will kill you, you, I will beat you, you surrender to. So, and he's in charge of the military. The Minister for Internal Affairs, who was a CDF.
The state minister, Muhoozi.
I don't see Otafire in parliament. I think he's of Museveni's age. They are old people. I see only David Muhoozi coming to parliament. He said...
Does that mean Otafire is not the minister?
He's also aided. At that age of Onopondo, you must be aided. It is natural. So the same way Muhoozi is aiding his father, David Muhoozi is also aiding Otafire, and I think that's why he was appointed. All the people are aided. They cannot execute their duties. So he says, it comes to parliament, he says, these security people must identify themselves before they arrest people. Museveni's son says, I disagree with you, they don't have to. So that's the environment under which we go. So I was not answering your question direct, whether it is sloganeering, whether it is what, these conditions are real. That Muhoozi is going to unleash JAT, and now they are working in concert with the Chiefs. Museveni was in their meeting in the State House saying, oh, I'm going to speak to Brigadier Damulira and someone who has emerged during the Kawempe elections, Brigadier Major Kutesa. I think now they are the ones who run the Chiefs. So those of us who campaign around Kampala, you must prepare. You are not going to face the normal police. You are now going to face Damulira and Kutesa and the Chiefs. And you see, Chiefs who have been stealing from people, mugging people on the street, and they are now one of the NRM infrastructure. Lydia.
They are not. But
they are.
Have you said?
I mean, the NRM candidate had them in Kawempe, and you were in Kawempe, and you know it, did you?
I was there, but I didn't have them.
You didn't see them?
No.
You are like the chairman of the Electoral Commission.
The JAT?
Chiefs. Yes.
So, I didn't see them.
So this...
I didn't see them, then he's blind.
But she was in Kawempe full time.
Well, Honorable Simju, as we wrap up, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, are you really sure?
NBS Frontline.